This is Akira, the focal point of our story today. While holding 2 drinks, Daichi watched her intently, lost in his own thoughts about how cute she looked, although his prolonged gaze made her a little uncomfortable. He, in turn, reflected that beyond her looks, she also had a sharp tongue and preferred masculine clothes, a trait that, in his opinion, was adorable. At that moment, interrupting his daydreaming, she asked for some of his fries. This interaction reminded him that they had been friends since kindergarten, and amidst that memory, he expressed a sudden insecurity, asking if she really wanted to go out with him, despite loving her. Surprised by the question, Akira asked why he was asking that. Visibly embarrassed, she muttered that she didn't completely reject the idea, but also didn't really know how to react to it. At another moment, while shopping for clothes, Daichi thought about how she still had the same masculine style since they started dating in high school. Changing the subject, he asked her about the cultural festival happening at her school that Friday. He mentioned that he had heard from a mutual friend that her class was doing a cosplay cafe and asked if he could visit her, but her answer was a dry no. Despite the refusal, he insisted, curious to know what her costume would be. Flustered and embarrassed, Akira refused to tell him, saying she'd be too shy to show herself like that to her own boyfriend, and while she hit him with a light punch, he thought that, since they attended different schools, he had no idea how she acted in her school environment. Even without an answer, his mind began to wander. Considering Akira's personality, he imagined the costume would be something cool, maybe a police uniform or even a vampire. However, he believed she would look good in something cute, but kept that opinion to himself, fearing her reaction. So, determined to confirm his suspicions, he decided he had to find a way into the school without being seen. On the day of the festival, he found her, and his surprise was immense when he saw her dressed as a waitress with cat ears and a tail. With panic in her eyes, she screamed at him, reminding him that she had told him not to come. He, in turn, just stared at her, frozen and speechless in front of that unexpected sight. After a moment, he apologized but confessed that he simply couldn't resist the urge to see her. That, however, only made her even more embarrassed. Holding a welcome sign for the class cafe, she asked him to stop staring, but he still couldn't take his eyes off her. With trembling hands, she tried to hide her face, begging him not to look anymore. But that only made Daichi even more flustered, unable to stop thinking about how cute she looked. Shortly after, already in a dojo, Akira appeared completely different, focused and serious with her impressive black belt, quite the opposite of the shy girl from the festival. As they prepared on the mat, Daichi couldn't resist commenting on how cute the maid outfit looked on her. Annoyed, she asked him to stop bringing it up, to which he replied that he'd love to see her looking that adorable again. Blushing, she defended herself, saying that a friend had forced her to wear that outfit, and that she'd never wear something like that again. He then sighed, regretting that he might never see that sweet side of her again. At that moment, the dojo master shouted at them and announced that since she was the only girl present, she and Daichi would practice randori together. However, Akira complained, saying she didn't want to face him because he was too tall. Despite the complaint, they soon began training. With a drop of sweat running down her face, she grabbed the collar of Daichi's kikoji. As he watched her, our hero reflected that their dojo usually didn't have mixed training, and so it had been a while since they practiced together. Positioning herself in front of him, she grabbed him more firmly, and he remained silent, just waiting for the next move. To tease her, he commented that, from that angle, she looked a bit short, which visibly irritated her. With fury on her face, she grabbed his collar even tighter, asking if he was mocking her. The provocation, however, seemed to be a mistake, because with a quick and precise move of her foot, she threw him off balance. In the blink of an eye, Akira tossed him into the air with an impeccable judo technique, completely reversing the situation between them. Lying on the floor and looking up between her legs, all Daichi could do was mutter how amazing she was. Akira then teased him, asking if he had gotten a little weaker. Later, already dressed and sitting near the exit, the master reminded him that he was going to buy donuts at the station and advised him to keep an eye on the time so he wouldn't be late. Suddenly, our hero was left speechless at the sight of who was approaching. And well, there was Akira, now wearing a skirt and a delicate blouse, looking shy and completely different from the fighter from moments ago. With her face blushing, she called him slow. The sudden change in her appearance and demeanor left him speechless. He then asked if she was wearing those clothes for a special reason. But completely embarrassed, Akira explained that a friend had given her that outfit as a birthday present and said that although it wasn't her style, she decided to dress up since it was a gift, but warned him not to get cocky because it wasn't for him. Despite the fake sternness, Daichi, with a sincere look, said the outfit looked really good on her and that she looked really cute. Extremely embarrassed by the compliment, she told him to shut up. At another moment, Daichi rang the doorbell at Akira's house. She opened the door, surprised to see him there. Then he apologized for the unexpected visit, saying he had forgotten something. Walking down the hallway, our hero realized that during their last English study session, he had forgotten his flashcards at her house. Already inside the room, he noticed the shirt she was wearing and commented that she had been wearing clothes like that since elementary school. With a smile, she replied that she was used to it and that wearing that shirt calmed her, to which Daichi said anything would look good on a pretty girl like her. Crouched near a shelf, they searched for the lost flashcards. She wondered where they could have ended up, hoping they hadn't gotten mixed up with her stuff. And well, as she leaned in closer, Daichi noticed something quite interesting. As she bent over, the collar of Akira's shirt opened slightly, revealing a glimpse of her chest that he had never seen before. At that exact moment, our hero turned his face sharply, which left her confused by his sudden reaction. He put his hand on his face, visibly embarrassed, and then it clicked for her as she realized what had happened. Still unable to look her in the eye, he commented that they still hadn't found the cards while Akira, blushing, kept holding onto the shirt collar. With that, she asked him if he had seen something. His reaction, however, said it all, and she confronted him, stating that she was sure he had seen it, even though he denied it. Eventually, though, he admitted that it had only been a glimpse. Overwhelmed by embarrassment and anger, she then kicked toward him. At that moment, our hero dodged the blow, insisting that he hadn't looked, but her rage wouldn't subside at all. With that, she shoved him out of the room with full force. He shouted that he had only seen something gray for a second, but Akira yelled that she knew he was looking. Meanwhile, leaning against the door, she covered her face with the shirt collar, completely red. She then timidly promised that next time she would wear cuter clothes. Completely knocked out on the floor, our hero wondered what would be the right way to respond to a confession like that. Later on, at a train station, the platform was crowded with students. In the middle of the crowd, Akira was chatting happily with her school friends. Right nearby, Daichi watched her, as Akira also glanced back at him. Despite the exchanged glances, they kept their distance, each with their group of friends, acting as if they didn't know each other. And that made sense since they were still keeping their relationship a secret, avoiding anything that could raise suspicions among their classmates. Meanwhile, Akira's friends were joking around with each other, with one of them teasing her about a supposed date with her boyfriend, which made her a bit uncomfortable. Daichi, in turn, reflected on how their relationship felt more like a continuation of their friendship, without much romance involved. Suddenly, one of Akira's friends called her, and pointed out that her skirt had lifted up, which caught her off guard. Unbothered, she simply replied that it was fine because she was wearing leggings underneath, which led her friend to comment that she really did resemble a boy. Already on the train, one of the girls got excited upon seeing a couple nearby. She pointed out excitedly that the two were holding hands, openly flirting. Watching that, Daichi wondered if girls really liked that kind of public display of affection. Akira, in turn, remained quiet beside him. That's when a thought crossed his mind, realizing that even though they'd been together for a while, he and Akira hadn't held hands even once. So, our hero wondered if maybe she'd also want to do something that normal couples did. And amidst the swaying of the crowded train, he prepared to act, even with his friends nearby. With the movement of the passengers, he ended up being pushed closer to her, and she looked at him, surprised by the sudden closeness. Their hands were dangerously close, and the moment seemed perfect. With that, he exclaimed that it was now or never. Meanwhile, Akira remained completely embarrassed. Without anyone noticing, he intertwined his fingers with hers. However, panic soon hit her, and in a whisper, she asked what the hell he was doing, to which he simply apologized. She asked him if he was an idiot, reminding him that his friends were right there watching everything. And she reminded him that that was exactly why they couldn't be doing that kind of thing. With that, he admitted she was right, and that he had misjudged the moment. However, blushing, she made it clear that it wasn't the right time. Not because she rejected the idea, but because it simply felt like an inappropriate moment. And just as the train doors opened, those words hit him hard. As the train departed, Akira remained on the platform, her cheeks red, leaving Daichi behind. From inside the car, he kept watching her, still processing her unexpected response. Sometime later, lying at home, he remembered that the sports festival at Akira's school was happening that day. Despite wanting to go, a memory held him back. He recalled how she had forbidden him to show up, reminding him that they were almost discovered at the last festival, and that only their friend Reina knew about the relationship. So he spent the day at home, relaxing and listening to music on his phone. Suddenly, his phone rang. When he answered, he heard Akira's mother's voice, calling him in a panic. Distressed, she apologized and explained that her husband had gotten so excited for the festival that he fell down the stairs and got hurt. With her husband complaining of pain in the background, she desperately asked if he could take the bento to her daughter. Shortly after at the door, she handed him the lunchbox, thanking him immensely for the help and apologizing for the inconvenience. That way, he realized that, in the end, he'd have to go to the festival anyway. Amidst the crowd of parents and students, he finally spotted her and called her name. There she was, smiling and sweaty, clearly enjoying the event. With impressive agility, she leapt over an obstacle, showcasing her amazing athletic ability. At another moment, she crossed the finish line of a relay race, and Daichi couldn't help but think that, as always, her skills amazed him. Then, she celebrated with her classmates, her smile infectious. Watching everything from afar, he could only think about how cool she was. Suddenly, the announcer's voice echoed through the yard, announcing that the next attraction would be the cheerleader competition. And turning around, our hero found himself face to face with a cheer squad wearing male uniforms. And Daichi thought that style of cheer would suit Akira perfectly. Then, the announcer welcomed the red team. And as music started playing, our hero realized that it was her team. To his complete surprise, the performance began with Akira lifting her shirt in a sensual motion. She looked shy and awkward, while her friend Reina beside her danced with contagious energy. With her fists wrapped, Akira then struck a pose, mixing determination with clear embarrassment. And on impulse, Daichi approached the edge of the stage, appearing unexpectedly right in front of her. And well, his sudden presence left her completely panicked. Amid that chaotic moment, Akira looked nervously at both Reina and Daichi, who turned his face away. With her face completely red, the poor girl was speechless. Despite the embarrassment, she and her friend continued to dance. And even with Akira's distressed expression, Daichi could only think about how cute she looked. And with one last charming move, she finished the choreography, albeit reluctantly. At the same time, she mentally confronted him, shouting that she had told him not to come. After the end of the festival, with the school hallways now quieter, she pushed him, called him an idiot, and said they'd get caught if he kept staring at her like that, to which he just apologized. He then explained that he knew she didn't want him there, but he had to go because her father had fallen down the stairs, which left her in shock. Worried, she asked what had happened. And Daichi said her mother had asked him to bring the bento and that, according to the message, it was just a sprain. Now walking side by side, she shyly thanked him for the help. However, despite her calm demeanor, Akira admitted that deep down she was still a little mad at him. Suddenly, our hero broke the silence, confessing with a slight blush that she looked cute and that he was glad he had gotten to see her like that. Hearing the compliment, Akira moved closer to him and surprised him with a soft punch to the back. Then, her face completely red and leaning against him, she called him an idiot. Time passed, and on another day, the two walked together in total tranquility. With an excited smile, Akira said that the following week she'd be starting a part-time job. She explained that a friend of her dad's was short-staffed and had asked for her help. He then asked if she'd be working in the kitchen or serving customers. And showing a photo of the place on her phone, she confirmed she'd be in the kitchen. She said the food there must be excellent and invited him to try it, assuring him they wouldn't see each other since she'd be busy in the kitchen. And well, in his imagination, he pictured her dressed as a chef, cooking skillfully with a cute smile. With that, Daichi said the chef's uniform seemed cool, and she, with contagious enthusiasm, agreed, saying it would be amazing. Shortly after, he wondered what Akira's food would taste like. Driven by curiosity and hunger, he decided he had to go there on an empty stomach and left the house in a hurry. Sometime later, he was already seated at a table in the restaurant, waiting expectantly. He looked around, observing the place and hoping for some sign of her. With the menu in hand, he wondered what she might be cooking and got ready to order. Suddenly, he was startled by someone approaching and shouting. It was Akira, who appeared not in a chef's uniform, but in a maid outfit. And with uncontrollable fury, she asked what he was doing there. Outraged, she reminded him that she had mentioned it the day before and asked if he hadn't seen the message she sent that morning. On his phone, the confusion became clear when he saw that, although he had confirmed the visit the night before, that morning she had sent a message asking him not to come. With a disarming calmness, he apologized, saying he hadn't noticed, which made her even more annoyed, complaining that he was always like that. Akira then began to explain that one of the staff had gotten sick and had to miss work that day. Because of that, they put her to work as a waitress at the last minute, which made her visibly embarrassed. With that, he finally understood the situation. Realizing why she was dressed like that and blushing and covering her eyes, she said the outfit didn't suit her at all and asked him to stop staring so much. He started to deny it, trying to say that wasn't true, but before he could finish, she covered his mouth. And with her face on fire, she silenced him, stopping him from finishing the compliment. He then asked her if she didn't agree with him and apologized while she, still holding him, had no idea how to respond. Looking away, she muttered that she didn't care about compliments, and well, her cute reaction left him completely frozen. Later, as he left the restaurant, he said it wasn't fair since he'd barely eaten. But then he relaxed because in return, he had seen way more than he expected that night. On another day while watching TV, a program talked about a real trend from the past, presenting a famous influencer who pioneered that style. While eating, Akira commented that that style was quite popular back in the day. And looking at the model, she said she thought the outfit was really good, which surprised Daichi a bit. Soon, in his imagination, he pictured her wearing that same style, thinking that, as always, any clothes would look good on his girlfriend because she was a cutie. Suddenly, Akira's attention turned to another scene and she exclaimed about how short one of the model's skirts was, which made Daichi call her a pervert. However, despite the joke, something had been bothering him lately. The fact was, ever since she started high school, Akira had become way too attractive. He reflected that in middle school, she was still a tomboy, but once she got to high school, she started wearing nicer clothes more often. That reminded him of a time when some other boys noticed her and were planning to approach her, which made him anxious. Deep down, what really made him uneasy was imagining what he'd do if other guys started hitting on her. Driven by that concern, he invited her to go shopping the next day after school, but she declined, saying she'd already made plans to go out with a friend. While finishing his meal, our hero wondered if he was really that possessive. Then, he decided he needed to control his impulses because he didn't want Akira to find him annoying. The next day, while walking alone, he thought that by that time, his girlfriend must be with her friend. Passing in front of an arcade, he decided he might as well go in to kill some time. And to his surprise, inside a photo booth, he heard two people talking. One of them saying she had always wanted a commemorative picture of herself in that outfit. Suddenly, Akira appeared in front of him, looking rather uncomfortable. At that very moment, Daichi realized she was wearing the clothes from the TV segment they had seen. Soon, his gaze dropped to her legs, and he couldn't help but notice how short the skirt was. Caught off guard, she asked where the hell he had come from. Confused, she asked if he shouldn't be out shopping somewhere while he, embarrassed, explained that he had just thought of killing time on his way home. Trying to explain, Daichi started to stammer. However, she interrupted him, asking what was wrong with him. Still flustered, she tugged on the hem of her sweater, asking him to stop staring at her like that. And furious, she said she was leaving. But just as she turned to go, our hero firmly grabbed her wrist. Surprised by the gesture, she asked what he wanted. And suddenly, he began covering her with his own jacket. With his face close to hers, he whispered that she looked beautiful in those clothes, and confessed that for that reason, he didn't want other guys to see her that way. Completely red-faced and speechless at that jealous display, she stammered. And still blushing, she just nodded. He, in turn, had an internal crisis, questioning what he was doing and realizing just how possessive he really was. At another time, in the classroom, two classmates approached Reina and, a little awkwardly, invited her to go to karaoke with them. Reina looked at them and politely apologized, saying that it wasn't a good day. The girls then apologized for bothering her and walked away, waving goodbye. As they walked off, they commented to each other on Reina's cold and elegant demeanor, saying she looked like a true ice queen, and that the cheap house she wore at the festival suited that style perfectly. Suddenly, Akira appeared from behind, calling out to her, and with a radiant smile, said she was there so they could go home together. And Reina, simply Akira's best friend, agreed. And well, that friendship made Reina remember kindergarten, where she barely interacted with anyone. But it was always Akira who tried to ease her loneliness by inviting her to play. Because of that, Reina couldn't help but think about how kind Akira was and felt grateful to have someone who considered her a best friend, especially knowing that she and Daichi were going out to eat that night. As we all know, Reina is the only one who knows about their relationship. And how did that happen, you ask? Well, it was shortly after they entered high school. Blushing and a little awkward, Akira told her she had gotten a boyfriend. She then tried to jog her friend's memory, reminding her that they had all attended the same kindergarten, and asked if she remembered Daichi. In pure shock, Reina finally recalled who he was. Her memories of the past, however, were vague. She remembered him as a tall, distracted boy she didn't interact much with and who, in her opinion, was a bit weird. Worried, she asked if Akira was okay with it. Akira, in turn, kindly explained that he just didn't like to show his feelings in front of others. Reina's imagination, however, ran wild. She pictured him expressing his most primal desires and wondered, alarmed, if her friend was really okay. Deep down, Reina believed Akira still had a pure heart and was certain she was being tricked by him. Soon, she recalled moments when Daichi seemed protective and kind, or other times when Akira acted possessive over him. At first, she thought their relationship had a clear dynamic. However, that was only what she thought. Because in reality, when she observed them together, she felt like they hadn't made any progress at all. With that, Reina concluded that their relationship hadn't advanced one bit beyond that of two guy friends. She was annoyed by it, thinking that normal high school couples who had been together for over a year would have progressed much further. Completely unaware of her thoughts, Daichi was just daydreaming about bowls of ramen, which made Reina think they lacked any sense of what it meant to be a loving couple. Meanwhile, Akira invited her to join them at a ramen shop. An offer Daichi politely declined. Our hero mentioned that a new ramen shop had opened, which immediately sparked Akira's curiosity, who excitedly asked where it was. Daichi pointed toward the location, while she was already drooling just imagining the delicious food there. In her excitement, Akira tripped over her own feet. Luckily, Daichi caught her just in time, pulling her close and preventing her from falling. And well, the sudden contact left her completely panicked and rather embarrassed. He also felt awkward about the closeness, looking away immediately. The two then stepped apart, and as he apologized, she scratched her head. Watching all this, Reina reached her limit. Thinking about how frustrating the two were, she decided she needed to step in to help them. So, at another time, she met Daichi at a cafe and asked how things were going between him and Akira. Our hero confessed that she was so cute he just didn't know how to act, which surprised Reina with his honesty. She then asked if that wasn't a wonderful thing, but he, looking concerned, said he honestly didn't know what to do. With arms crossed, he explained that he was always worried other guys might get interested in her, and besides thinking she was cute, he didn't know how to move forward. As always, Reina watched the situation unfold in front of her. Her patience, however, ran out, and she thought about how irritating the lack of progress was. With surprising bluntness, she told Daichi she liked him for being straightforward and advised him to just tell Akira how he felt. She reminded him that since they had known each other since childhood, maybe they didn't see each other as a boy and a girl. So, she suggested that if he repeated the words he had said to her, maybe Akira would start to realize his true feelings. Hearing the advice, Daichi finally seemed to understand what he needed to do. At that exact moment, Akira arrived with a tray of food. She placed the meal on the table and apologized to Reina for interrupting. Smiling, she showed her friend a flyer for the judo club's Halloween party and thanked her for helping make the costumes. Akira then praised Reina's sewing skills, reminding her she also made the outfits for the cultural festival, and said excitedly that she couldn't wait for the event. So, Akira thought that if even the instructor and upperclassmen took the costumes seriously, the least they could do was join the fun and put in the same effort. With a smile, she said she'd love it if they did something cool. And well, that made our hero remember that since he confessed to her, he hadn't said the word like to her again. He then opened up to Reina, explaining that even though they were a couple, they acted like friends, and that made it hard for him to say anything besides cute. But Reina reassured him, telling him not to worry because she'd take care of everything. On the day of the Halloween party, Daichi showed up in a flawless prince costume, and he couldn't help but think how professional Reina's sewing work was. Meanwhile, Akira wore a medieval costume and was surrounded by kids shouting, "Trick or treat." The little ones, excited, tugged at her cape, and she panicked, asking them to stop. Nearby, another child complimented Reina, saying her work looked amazing. Our hero then approached Akira, and noticing her nervousness, asked why she was gripping her cloak so tightly. Blushing, she replied that his presence there was the least of her worries, to which Daichi said Reina had set him up big time hidden. The little girl watched everything from the corner. In a quick move, she ran toward the two of them, and shouting trick or treat, she yanked on Akira's costume. To everyone's surprise, the medieval outfit tore, revealing a beautiful white dress underneath. Akira froze, completely shocked, and Daichi was also stunned by the dress that had appeared out of nowhere. The situation panicked him because he knew Akira didn't like wearing that kind of outfit. Remembering past situations, he was certain she'd be furious with him. However, the little girl, a key piece in the plan, started crying, asking with fake innocence if she had torn Akira's outfit. With crocodile tears running down her face, she apologized, pretending to be regretful. Touched emotionally, Akira took it lightly and said it was okay because she was actually a princess. She then hugged the little girl and thanked the little witch for restoring her true appearance. Watching that, Daichi couldn't hide a smile, visibly moved by the cuteness of the moment. The little girl, still playing her part, ran off. Blushing, Akira admitted that being a princess wasn't really her thing. Taking advantage of the moment, Daichi approached her and, with sudden seriousness, said he liked her. The direct confession caught her completely off guard, leaving her speechless. He then said he liked her just the way she was. With that, she placed her hands over her hair and, still flustered, asked what had gotten into him so suddenly. Watching from afar, Reina thought that even if her original plan hadn't fully worked, at least there seemed to be some progress between the two. On another day in a conversation with Reina, Akira mentioned that since they entered high school, she felt like Daichi had become more assertive. Blushing, she told her friend that the other day, he had said he liked her. Hiding behind a book, she confirmed that it had really been a confession, and Reina simply remarked that it was something that had taken way too long. That reminded her of how, even after confessing that she liked him too and dating for a year, they still went out like they always had. She explained that acting feminine, or like a couple, wasn't really her thing and made her a bit embarrassed, even though she didn't mind hearing him say those things. Still, she confessed to her friend that she didn't know what she should do. Reina then suggested she stop wearing unattractive clothes, like those of an elementary school kid. However, Akira insisted she was fine the way she was. For now, they decided to drop the subject and head to the convenience store. Shortly after, they ran into Daichi, who was sitting on a park bench. As they approached, Akira wondered what he was doing there. And well, the answer soon revealed itself. As a stunning woman passed by, drawing everyone's attention with an almost ominous intensity, Daichi couldn't take his eyes off her. Shocked, Akira concluded that he was staring at an incredibly seductive woman. Suddenly, the poor girl panicked, wondering if he actually preferred older and more feminine women. Out of nowhere, Daichi exclaimed that she was cute. And to Akira, that was a devastating blow. After all, he had called someone else cute besides her. In her mind, she wondered if he said the same thing to other girls, feeling betrayed by the compliment she thought was hers alone. At that moment, Reina grabbed her by the shirt, trying to make her understand that it wasn't because his heart had been stolen, but because of something she wasn't good at. Motivated by her friend's words, Akira clenched her fist, determined to do something about it. In her mind, she imagined the worst. If things kept going like this, Daichi might find a girl cuter than her. With that, it seemed like she had made a decision. On another day, a message exchange confirmed a meetup at an exhibit. Amid the crowd, Daichi looked for her, waiting near the ticket booth. That's when she appeared. And to his surprise, she was wearing an elegant knit dress, something completely different from her usual style. He was left speechless, thinking about how cute she looked. But the surprise was so great, he could only ask where she got those clothes. Embarrassed, she made up an excuse, saying it was something she had lying around and that maybe he had just never noticed it before. Suddenly, she confronted him, firmly stating that he had been staring at a beautiful woman the other day. Confused, Daichi asked what she was talking about. Grabbing his sleeve, she asked if he liked girls who were full of sensuality. With her face on fire, she tried to say that she could be like that too. Her attempted seduction left him completely stunned. She raised her voice, implying that maybe that other girl was the one he found cute, but quickly added that it didn't matter. Then, he finally seemed to remember what she was talking about. So, he explained the misunderstanding, saying it wasn't the woman he thought was cute, but the child beside her. Since the kid's clothes reminded him of his amazing girlfriend. And well, that left her completely shocked, realizing that all her jealousy had been over a child. Looking at her sincerely, Daichi said he would never call anyone else cute but her. And well, his words left her embarrassed and with a pounding heart. However, the embarrassment soon turned into anger, and she began hitting him, complaining that everyone always treated her like a little girl. Later, while browsing clothes in a store, Akira thought to herself that from that day on, she needed to keep trying harder. At another moment, she and her parents were in the garage, prepping a motorcycle for a ride. Seeing the jumpsuit she was wearing, Daichi asked if she had an outfit like that too. She explained that it was an old one from her mom and that it didn't fit properly. Despite his efforts, a few days had passed since the confession at the party, and Daichi felt like nothing had changed between them. Soon he worried, wondering if maybe she hadn't been impressed. Back in the garage, Akira admired the bike, commenting that its rear looked cool, while Daichi admitted that, although he was afraid, he was also kind of interested. Getting on the motorcycle, she promised that one day she'd take him for a ride, and added that he'd be riding on the back seat. Her boldness completely stunned him, and he couldn't stop thinking about how incredibly cool she was. However, even with moments like that, he felt that things stayed the same. Their relationship still seemed like two friends hanging out, and he wondered if that was really so bad, until she grabbed him, calling him over for a drink. Already in the living room, they sat down to relax with a cold beverage. Akira, however, fanned herself, complaining about the unbearable heat. Trying to cool down, she said she thought wearing the jumpsuit would help. However, she admitted the plan had backfired, as the outfit had turned into a sauna. Now in lighter clothes, she sat on the couch and searched her phone for beginner motorcycles. As she shifted, the strap of her blouse slipped, revealing a bit of lace underneath. Immediately, Daichi looked away, completely flustered. He thought to himself that the situation was definitely getting out of hand. In his mind, he complained that it wasn't good at all for her to sit around so casually in those clothes, not seeing him as a man. Completely unaware of his internal chaos, Akira kept browsing her phone without a care. Overcome by impulse, he grabbed her by the shoulders and, calling her name, said he knew she saw them as friends. Leaning over her, he said that nevertheless he was still a man and wanted her to know that, to him, she was a girl. The sudden confession left her completely speechless. He himself was embarrassed by his own boldness, thinking that even though they were alone, the situation was rather awkward. With that, she pushed him away, calling him a tyrant and yelling at him not to look at her like that. At that moment, Akira's mom appeared in the doorway and told the boys to get back to work, completely breaking the mood. Shortly after, Akira seemed to remember something and accidentally dropped her phone, and Daichi, on reflex, looked at the screen. Her search history included things like what is femininity, clothes to make your boyfriend happy, and how to respond to a boyfriend's confession. And well, that left him completely stunned and blushing. Embarrassed, all he could do was point at her search history. Mortified, Akira bowed an apology, trying to explain. Blushing, she admitted that she didn't want them to just hang out like two friends anymore either. She remembered how even her own mom treated her like a boy, which made her feel like one for real. That's when it clicked for Daichi. In Akira's eyes, he really was just a guy friend. The next day, things between them seemed different. While studying, she called him, asking for help with something she didn't understand. Sitting side by side, he pointed to the problem in the book, explaining it to her. Suddenly, he seemed to have an epiphany. With her face red, Akira hinted that the lesson was just a pretext and ended up asking him to explain another problem. Her move left him completely flustered. In his mind, he thought that now they were more or less like a real couple, and maybe she wouldn't say no if he asked her out. Summoning courage, he showed her a place on his phone and, a bit hesitant, suggested they go there after exams. The place was an alley with colorful lights, a popular date spot for couples. He remembered trying to invite her to a similar place after graduation, but back then, she didn't see the point of going. Trying to persuade her, He mentioned that he believed there were chocolate fountains and other things she might like. With that, Akira listened in silence, and after a moment, she declined the invitation rather disinterestedly, but then quickly changed her mind, saying she didn't care if they went. Despite her lack of enthusiasm, our hero was glowing inside. He couldn't believe she had accepted, and that they would finally have a real date. A bit later, back home, Daiichi reflected on how this was a big step, because until then, their dates had just been eating out or wandering around the station, almost like two friends killing time. While getting ready, 5 hours before the date, he said this would be their first real moment as a couple and remembered how happy Akira had seemed. However, as he picked out an outfit, a different image came to mind, and he felt confused. He then recalled more clearly that she didn't actually seem all that excited when she accepted the invitation. After all, Akira generally had a hard time with femininity and typical couple behavior. Sitting on his bed, he looked at his phone and wondered if maybe she wasn't happy about the date this time either. He worried, knowing how kind Akira was, and feared she might just be forcing herself to go for his sake. And well, that left him completely panicked. On the way to the meeting spot, he thought that he didn't want Akira to feel pressured by him in any way. At the arranged place, he looked around nervously, trying to hide his anxiety. Meanwhile, not far away, Akira was already waiting for him, visibly shy and uneasy about the situation. When they finally met, she greeted him, but her blushing face showed her nervousness. Seeing her so dressed up and beautiful left him speechless, only able to stammer the start of a compliment. However, he remembered again how she hadn't seemed thrilled before. Overcome with anxiety, he sat next to her and, calling her name, asked if she was really okay with the date. He confessed that it felt like he had forced her to come. Struggling, he said that if she didn't want to, she could just go home. But she interrupted him, telling him to stop talking nonsense, and reminded him that he had invited her so they could have fun together. With that, the sign for the Festival of Lights lit up in the background, marking the official start of their date. Akira admitted that he had started off with a very high bar for a first date. With that, she decided that from that moment on, she would start trying harder. With her face hidden in her scarf, Akira timidly reminded him that, after all, she was his girlfriend. And well, that made Daiichi's heart race. He then thought that since it was their first date of that kind, it hadn't been easy to prepare. But even so, he was sure he'd do everything he could to make sure Akira enjoyed every moment. Then a memory from when they were kids crossed his mind, from a time when they didn't think much about gender differences. He remembered how, as they grew older, they gradually started to notice those differences. And now, they were finally a couple. Back in the present, he looked at her warmly, thinking that it was precisely because of their long history that things weighed so heavily on him. Trying to move things forward, he suggested they ride the Ferris wheel. And well, just the mention of the Ferris wheel sent Akira's imagination into a frenzy, and she immediately thought of the classic scene of a kiss at the top. Panicking at the idea, she shouted, asking what made him think she'd get on that thing. Meanwhile, Akira's confidence as a girlfriend plummeted to zero, as she realized that, once again, she had rejected him purely out of embarrassment. She then watched another couple nearby, exchanging compliments and showing an excitement she herself couldn't express. In her mind, she scolded herself, thinking she was rude, stubborn, and not feminine at all. And even so, despite all her flaws, Daiichi kept showing her affection in simple ways, always reminding her how much he liked her and found her cute without hesitation. Insecurity consumed her, and she thought he was probably more interested in prettier girls than in someone like her, who saw herself as completely unattractive. She couldn't stop thinking about those doubts that had plagued her since they started dating. While she was lost in thought, Daiichi remained calm. Then, in an unexpected gesture, his hand reached for hers. Gently, he held her hand and pulled her along to walk among the festival lights. Completely surprised by his actions, she just followed him, eyes wide and heart pounding. His gesture caught her off guard, but she didn't pull away. Her eyes sparkled amid the festival lights, completely overwhelmed by the emotion of the moment. He, on the other hand, smiled discreetly, thinking that since it was their first date, he had decided to take the opportunity to get closer to her. While their hands stayed together, she tried to find the words to respond. Looking straight ahead, he thought that he'd do his best to make sure she never regretted being with him. He then opened up to her, saying that since they had been childhood friends for so long, maybe he wasn't a good boyfriend for her yet. Hearing his insecurity shocked her. The truth was that Daichi also felt unsure and didn't know how to act. With that, a childhood memory surfaced, showing that they always cried over similar things, and that, even back then, he promised to do his best to make her happy with their friendship. That memory made her realize that deep down, they hadn't changed much since those days, to which he said he felt the same. With a trembling voice, she confessed that she wasn't a big fan of cute and girly things. And because of that, she wondered if he truly saw her as a girl. With her eyes full of tears, she admitted that deep down, she felt she didn't deserve to be his girlfriend. His face stayed serious as he processed it. But then he turned and squeezed her hand tighter, saying that just holding her hand made his heart feel like it would explode. Our hero said he felt lucky to hold her hand, that it was small and comforting, and that he wanted to keep holding it until the night ended, which left her completely speechless. A bit embarrassed, he admitted that his hand was starting to sweat, and she, blushing, yelled that she got the message and quickly let go. Daichi then promised that, until all her worries faded, that would be how he'd express his feelings. His seriousness surprised her, which made her start to laugh a little shyly, saying it was simply too much for her. Her face, once tense, now lit up with a contagious smile under the lights. On impulse, she tightly grabbed his hand, making him yelp in pain. He joked, laughing, that her hand was strong and well-trained. With a genuine, radiant smile, she called him and thanked him deeply for everything. And hand in hand, the two stood still under the corridor of lights, sharing a moment of pure connection. And even though they now saw each other as a man and a woman, deep down, they were still the same as ever. However, as long as she was with Daichi, Akira was sure she could be his girlfriend. Back at the dojo, the instructor yelled at the students, warning them not to slack off just because it was winter break. And suddenly someone called for Akira. Kneeling on the tatami, our girl, who was preparing a band, looked up and asked what was going on. She then asked Daichi to hold it for her for a moment, and he promptly agreed. Gently, she placed the band in his hand. The simple touch of their hands brought back the memory of when they held hands at the festival. With a slight blush, she thanked him for the help. Meanwhile, he just looked away, still moved by the memory. And well, after that date, they slowly started to behave almost like a real couple. Akira thought to herself that she too should start acting like his girlfriend little by little. Suddenly, the instructor paused the training, announcing that, with the start of vacation, 3 new female students had joined. He then asked Daichi and Akira, being the most experienced members, to help the new girls however they could. Immediately, 2 of the girls approached Daichi, asking him to teach them everything he knew. Patiently, he began instructing one of them, showing the proper way to grip the judogi. The new girls were impressed with how clear his explanations were, while Akira, watching from the background, burned with jealousy. Soon, a feeling of panic overtook her, as she realized Daichi was, somehow, becoming popular with the other girls. While the student asked if she was doing the grip correctly, Akira's mind was already coming up with a plan. Kneeling in the corner of tatami, she thought that, since they were a couple, she could easily handle the situation. In the next moment, she latched onto his back, leaving him completely confused, asking what was going on. Blushing and pouting, she asked him to help her with her training too, and though he didn't understand her behavior, he simply agreed. Without wasting time, she locked him in an armbar and aggressively asked how she was doing. Blushing, she thought that if she held him like that, Daichi would definitely notice her. Meanwhile, the new girls watched their sparring and commented on the technique, noting that on the ground, pressure was applied with the chest against the face. And well, the pin did, in fact, press Daichi's face against her chest. Realizing the embarrassing situation she had created, Akira was completely shocked. Noticing this, she immediately let him go, squatting on the tatami, paralyzed by embarrassment. At the same moment, Daichi stood up and called out to her, and with a thumbs up, he congratulated her, saying he could see she was full of energy that day, which made her realize he hadn't minded at all. Still, even though it was good that he reacted that way, it was bad too, because it meant he hadn't felt anything from what had just happened. And well, after witnessing such an advanced technique, our hero said he couldn't fall behind. Later in her room, Akira looked at her clothes, feeling somewhat discouraged. Reina's words echoed in her mind, reminding her that Daichi's heart may have been touched by something she wasn't good at. With tearful eyes, she wondered if it was time to pay the price for her lack of femininity. Meanwhile, Daichi focused on his judo training, always striving to improve little by little. At same time, Akira made a decision, and said that she needed to pull herself together and start acting like his girlfriend, with all her strength. Arriving home and taking off her shoes, she was greeted by her mom, who mentioned that Daichi would be coming over soon to study. Already in the bath, she remembered her decision to start acting like his girlfriend. Nervous, Akira told herself that she had prepared a special strategy just for that day. Then the doorbell rang. When she opened it, there she was wearing short shorts, a tank top, and a cute jacket. Seeing her, Daichi commented that those weren't her usual clothes, but that she looked cute. Embarrassed, she gave the lame excuse that all her other clothes were in the wash, and that those were the only ones left. Later, while they studied, she told him the pizza would arrive a bit later. Then he asked if she usually watched movies on Saturdays, mentioning that a specific one would air that night. And suddenly, a somewhat awkward silence fell between them. Blushing, Akira thought about how a boyfriend and girlfriend should make each other's hearts race. Just before Daichi arrived, she had looked up some methods, like a surprise kiss or a playful shove. The idea of other actions like wearing sexy lingerie or giving a massage threw her into a panic, but she concluded she could never do that. Tossing around on her bed, she wondered if people really did those things. That's when something finally caught her attention. She read an article suggesting wearing cute home clothes and cuddling up next to your partner. And well, that was something she might actually manage. Back in the present, she crouched beside him on the bed, summoning all the courage she had. Blushing, she prepared herself for the big moment and launched herself toward him. But right at the moment she moved, the doorbell rang, and Daichi looked toward the door, commenting that it must be the pizza. Her plan crumbled, and frustrated, she collapsed onto his lap, hiding her face in embarrassment. Completely confused, he looked at her, not understanding why she had thrown herself like that. Lying in his lap, Akira remained still. Soon he called her, and stammering, asked if hadn't been an accident. And she, too discouraged to continue with her plan, just confirmed it. With eyes brimming with shame, she tried to end the subject, saying it was all just a misunderstanding. But he quickly asked what kind of misunderstanding it was. Another day, seeking help, Akira talked with Reina, who, repeating her question, wanted to know what she needed to do to seem like a real girl. With a light blush, Akira explained that Daichi had become popular recently. She confessed she was wondering how she could look like a good girlfriend in his eyes, and that although she had tried a few things on her own, nothing had worked. So she asked her friend to give her some tips. Reina was visibly touched to see how much Akira had matured, and enthusiastically told her to leave everything to her. At a store, Reina gave her first piece of advice. Since Akira was always very energetic, she should try acting more gracefully, and explained that if she created a contrast with her usual behavior, she was sure that, as a girlfriend, she would be much more noticed. With a new outfit in hand, Akira got excited about the possibilities her friend's strategy could bring. Meanwhile, Reina was moved, saying her cuteness was off the charts, and with fiery determination, she declared she'd make her even cuter, and asked everyone to just wait and see. Days later, on a train, Daichi was on his phone, when he heard a familiar voice calling him. It was Akira, greeting him with a completely new and feminine look, in an extremely formal tone, though she immediately regretted her choice of words. The unexpected formality left him totally shocked, and all he could do was ask what was going on. Still embarrassed, he said she looked cute, but different, and she nervously asked, different from what? Then she realized that her usual behavior and way of speaking didn't match the new outfit. A memory of her lessons with Reina popped into her head, reminding her that the first step to becoming a beautiful woman was to fix her way of speaking, starting with her greeting. With that, she said she had practiced a lot for this moment. As they walked, Daichi suggested they grab a bite to eat, proposing one of his favorite ramen shops. The idea, however, made her hesitate, since she thought eating ramen wasn't very feminine. Trying to stay composed, she suggested instead they go to a cafe, thinking it would be a calmer place. There, she held a small sandwich, something that, in her mind, signaled elegance. Despite finding the food bland and nowhere near enough to satisfy her hunger, she pretended, covering her mouth and exclaiming how delicious it was. At a nearby table, other girls observed her, commenting on how innocent and adorable she looked. Eating her tiny snack, she thought to herself that, at least today, she had managed to act like a girlfriend. Daichi, meanwhile, just sipped his drink with an unreadable expression. Night fell over the city, and their date came to an end. Still hungry, she thought she needed to say goodbye quickly, so she could run to a convenience store. As they walked, her expression was pure disappointment, frustrated by how the date had turned out. Suddenly, to her surprise, Daiichi led her toward the ramen shop he had suggested earlier. Inside the place, she asked him what he was doing, but he ignored her protests and simply began ordering. Seated at the table, he said that, although she wore attractive clothes that day, he'd hate to see her stressed because of it. Taking a sip of his drink, he confessed he liked her more when she was just herself. With teary eyes, she adjusted her glasses, deeply moved that he liked her for who she really was. Then, the arrival of her ramen interrupted the moment. With the food on the table, he encouraged her to eat before it got cold. She then took off her glasses, placing them on the table, and finally agreed. As she happily ate the ramen, Daiichi watched her with newfound appreciation. With a smile, she laughed and exclaimed that, as always, ramen was the most delicious thing ever. Watching her genuine joy, he simply agreed. And unlike before, now she felt completely comfortable and happy. With that, Akira finally came to the conclusion that, in the end, the best choice was simply to keep being herself.